The United States has done a really good job of responding in the first couple of years of the administration to the immediate challenge that China poses. But now we really need to expand to the global stage and pay attention to how China, through its Belt and Road Initiative, through its Global Civilization Initiative, its Security Initiative, its Development Initiative, all of these things are designed to transform the international system in ways that are antithetical to the U.S. And so that necessitates a new strategy, a kind of second-tier strategy from the United States, which is much more than simply focusing on our European and our Asian allies, but really expanding our tent to include emerging economies in Latin America and Africa and Southeast Asia, and bringing them into an American vision of the world for the 21st century.
I guess I grew up on global Wall Street, where globalization was the thing. That was my career. With China, should we try to engage with China? Should that be our first order of business, to try to engage with China? Or should we step back and say, this is almost like, I don't know, the Soviet Union from back in the day? I mean, how should we engage with China?
So I think for 35 years, we had 90% engagement, 10% competition.
Yep.
Right? Now we're basically at 90% competition and 10% engagement. I think actually, unfortunately, we've got it about right at this point. Okay. I think we need to understand that China's not interested in the kind of engagement that we've pursued for 30-some years. They have their own vision. They want their own norms, their own values, their own interests reflected on the global stage.
Your book, The Third Revolution, was my book of the summer. It seems ages ago, pandemic ago as well. In it, you were really controversial about the power that President Xi has in China. Has he solidified his power? Is he impregnable now?
I don't know whether anyone is impregnable. Certainly, he's done an amazing job of bringing institutional power into his own hands. What we don't know is, how much his personal power actually radiates through society. What is the real legitimacy of Xi Jinping among the Chinese people? We have some polls, for example, that show that urban Chinese would really like to have greater freedom of speech. They'd really like, greater property rights, the right to assemble. I think you can look and see a lot of dissatisfaction in the country if you look beneath the surface. We don't have 180,000 protests on the streets the way we used to, because Xi Jinping has put in place this incredible repressive apparatus. But that's not to say discontent is not still there.
The heart of the matter, and folks, I attended the Council on Foreign Relations, where I'm a member of a very important conference by Gina Raimondo. I've got a business, Paul, as you mentioned, a business globalization structure debating China. And I've got a president of the United States worried about 4 swing states, so he's anti-China. And the candidate for the Republican Party, I believe, is anti-China as well. Are we able to have a cogent discussion on China now? Are we literally back to Chiang Kai-shek and the ballet post-World War II?
I think that we're able to have a cogent discussion, but the parameters have shifted so that there's a new realization about the real challenge that China presents. I think we don't want to go down the rabbit hole where everything is about competition. We need to do what the Biden administration started out to do, which is to look for areas of common ground and common purpose, to try to find communication channels on the military to military cooperation. We don't want this relationship to devolve into kinetic conflict. But it's also true that we recognize we can't continue that globalization without any protection for the American economy.